I hope you all managed to get a break, managed to have some great conversations. It sounded really full of energy. Thank you again for being here. Thanks for going through what was a really, really good first half. It was great to hear from the Minister, great to hear from Claire about the London context, and a really fantastic panel where we heard about how we can support young people. The second half, we're going to think about how businesses and employers can do more, can open their doors, what they're going to do. But before that, we've got a great opportunity to hear direct from Howard Dawber, the Deputy Mayor for Business and Growth, alongside Alex Frank, who's an Access Ambassador from one of our programmes, who's been doing work experience, a Year 13 student. And they're going to be interviewed as a kind of fireside chat by Francine Lacqua, who's one of the Bloomberg journalists. So what a great bringing together of Bloomberg, the Mayor's Fund and Young People, and the Deputy Mayor for Growth. So I'll welcome onto the stage, and we can see how they go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is exciting. I'm sure we could get a deal done between the two of you. We have 20 minutes to get something done. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for joining us. Deputy Mayor, maybe lay out your main message to the youth right now. What's the London Growth Plan? What can they see as benefits, and how quickly can they see it?
Wow, that's a big question. Hello, good morning. I'm Howard Dawber. I'm Deputy Mayor of London for Business and Growth. I work for our Mayor Sadiq Khan. Sorry, I should say Sir Sadiq Khan. Sorry, Sir Sadiq Khan. Don't tell him I didn't say that. So Sir Sadiq Khan, and I've done it now for a year and a bit. So I came in. He'd already been in for quite a long time. So I came in as a relatively new deputy mayor. So I'm still fizzing with enthusiasm.
Long may that last.
Exactly. So I'd say this. First of all, there's been a lot of doom and gloom about for the last probably 10 years. And, you know, we've seen a series of things that a lot of us in London weren't particularly keen on. You know, London voted, for example, against Brexit. London voted very, very decisively not to leave the EU, apart from Bexley, who want to leave the EU, but then they might want to leave London as well, to be honest. Don't quote me on that either. So we had Brexit, we've had some, you know, obviously economic trouble. Then we went into COVID, which had such a chilling impact on people moving around the city, people going to school, people going to university, people going into work. So it really messed things up a lot. And then we've come out of that, and I think there was a feeling that London somehow is going to gently sort of slip into a sort of second-rate position, that we're not the sort of top city in the world anymore, that we're sort of going to let New York be the top city in the world, that we're getting on with stuff, but we're not as amazing as we used to be. So I say, well, I was going to say a rude word then.
Please don't.
No to that. Absolutely no. We want to be the #1 city in the world. There will be a few cities that emerge as the big global trading centres in the next sort of 20 years. And we are in that race. We are absolutely in that race. We are ahead of New York on things like artificial intelligence. We've got more AI companies in London than they have. We're ahead of New York on legal, on insurance. We're neck and neck with them on financial services. We're not far off them in terms of TV and video production. We're #3 place in the world for TV and video now. That's a huge, big growing industry. We're ahead of them on green stuff, on environmental stuff. So actually, you know what? Why not have that ambition? London wants to be the best place in the world to grow up, to get into work, to start a business and to do business and to grow businesses. Starting with that, we want young people to be ambitious. We want them to think about the jobs that we have now, and there are a lot of job vacancies in London, the jobs that are coming in the future, including these new jobs in fast-growing sectors, but also to think about the businesses they may want to start themselves and things they might want to get into in driving those businesses. We've always been a bit of a cheeky, insurgent sort of city. We're a city that has a go. And I want to make sure we capture that spirit and push for it harder. So I'd say our future is brighter than our past, believe it or not. We think our best days are ahead of us. And we want to make sure that all our young people across the city have part of that.
Alex, I mean, the deputy mayor is extremely optimistic about the future, and I hope everyone is, but it's not easy actually being, a youth right now in London. You're, I know, a bit of a rising star. You're MFL Employability and Skills Ambassador. You're a year 13 student. What do you think needs to happen in London to be more attractive or just to help a lot of the youth?
Well, I think there are a few things that the Deputy Mayor touched on, but I would like to explore. So he said how we're getting these new jobs in growth industries. But when I hear that, I sit there and go, great, but what does that mean for us? Because when I started out and I wanted to go, I'd like to work in public policy. I really want to go and do something that's impactful. Then, perhaps 10 minutes later, I sat down and went, so what exactly am I supposed to do? How exactly is one meant to go and change the world? Or at least change a tiny bit of what makes something of such a big city such as London? And through the Mayor's Fund, I've been able to get a work experience at the Bank of England. Not necessarily the fact that the people there were incredible and I learnt skills, but it's because I was let into that door. Just seeing what's behind that big iron gate that if you walk down the street, you can see there, but you can't go in. The building has 50 security cameras surrounding it, but I was able to go inside. Having that moment, that ability to just go in and see was that main thing for me. And then once you've gone in and seen it's a great environment, then you can actually go, okay, I can talk to this person, then they'll tell me what are the sort of educational things I need. I can talk to this person, and then I know what experience I need. But you need to be let indoors. And if we're not, then we have no idea what it is that employers want from us and what we can then do to help support London.
So in terms of support, Alex, and you laid it out very clearly. Does it need to be organized? Is it support that needs to extend from the mayor's office, or is it businesses and organizations like the Bank of England that need to do more also to communicate with youth?
I mean, I think it's a few things, but on its fundamental level, it's about people. When I started year 12, I had this moment of I want to do something. So I was 16 years old and I just walked into my school's head of safeguarding and was like, I want to build a mental health center because I've seen the number of people who want to do that. And as I said that, half the people in this room immediately took a step back in their seats and went, okay. But I thought about it and I presented her with this idea, and the fact that she did not laugh me out the room was incredible. Then, 2 months later, when I went and saw the funders and they saw a 16-year-old, or 17 at the time, looking back at them, they didn't immediately laugh me out the room. It's great to talk about this idea of youth voice, but also when young people are here saying, I have this idea, then taking them seriously. And now, I think John Lyons are in the room, they've helped fund this project, it's going to happen. Hundreds to thousands of young Londoners are now going to get mental health in my community. And all of that happens because there is one person at the beginning who actually cares enough and believes in you enough to give you that shot.
Deputy Mayor, what can businesses... You're right, that does deserve a round of applause. What can businesses and employers do more to support some of the initiatives put in place by the mayor?
So I think there's two things here. One is there are some really great programs being run by the Mayor's Office through Mayor's Fund for London and some of our other programs on apprenticeships, on helping people to start businesses and so on. And obviously, we also run the adult skills for London, which is the post-19 skills, where we want to make sure that people have got access to the skills they need to, first of all, get into good employment, but also to retrain or to take additional training to get into jobs as the job market changes. We don't actually control 16 to 19 skills, but we want to have an influence on those so that we can get the colleges to work better. Also, we're working with national government on what's going to be the new National Jobs and Careers Service, because your point about where do you go for the first bit of information, and if you're lucky enough to have parents or friends of parents who know about the sector you want to get into, or just about how to go through the process of applying to do an internship or writing somebody who has work experience, or just that engagement, if you're lucky enough to have that, then great. But if you don't, then where do you start? So having a really good source of good, solid advice about, if you want, so you think you want to get into public policy, well, here's some things you might want to check out, and here's some programs that are already there, so you know where to go. That's crucial. So that's something we want to build up, so that there's a place that everybody knows they can go to get good information. The other side of it is businesses, and the thing is that businesses, most good businesses in London, really do want to engage with young people because that's their future. And a lot of businesses have got quite a lot of trouble filling vacancies. But we want to help them to put in place programs that will engage with young people, so that we've got meaningful work experience programs, that they reach out beyond their sort of comfort zone, so that they're reaching across the whole of London. Because it's one thing to have lots of people doing work experience who are the family and friends of people who work there or clients. It's another thing to go, right, actually we're going to work with a school in south of Croydon, and get people to come up on the train to central London and actually have that experience. So we're talking to businesses about programs that we might put in place to extend work experience, extend mentoring. We've got a really good mentoring program that the Mayor's supported, to the idea being that every young person in London should be able to get a mentor if they want one from business, and to support good practice and help people to share that. But we've got, I don't want to say for a second that we've got it right, because there is such a long way to go. And I meet young people all the time who are frustrated and feel like they haven't been given a chance to access it. And so that's something I personally, but also the Mayor, are determined to change.
Alex, what are you most frustrated about? Again, it's about implementation a lot of the time, so it's what you see on the ground that makes a difference.
To be honest, again, it comes back to that whole idea of most people, when you talk to them in industry, or if you ask for mentorship, they'll go, come back to me when you have a degree. But again, it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. We don't know what degree you want us to study. We don't know what A-levels you want us to take. We don't know if you want us to go and do a summer job in this firm, or if we can just go and learn another language and that's helpful. We don't know. And when mentors get provided, or when people go on placements, everyone says second to last year of uni or in that summer holiday. But when you're there, you're 21 or 20. No, I asked on my table a bit earlier, what are you doing for people who are under the age of 20? Not many answers. Not many firms will look at someone like me and go, it's worth me talking to him now, because they might think that I'm not necessarily going to work with them, or they don't see the immediate benefit. But if you're able to find someone early, and if you're able to tell them exactly what you want, that removes a lot of the barriers. And this idea of mentorship, it doesn't necessarily need to be a big, long commitment that is done for years. That is incredibly impactful, and that is great to do. But having the option of someone literally being there and answering your questions to people who are not at the age where they've made all those choices yet. Because lots of people are ruled out because of their qualifications or their lack of experience, or just simply because they don't know you exist. I had a friend who asked me yesterday, what degree apprenticeships do you know are being offered? And he thought civil service, because he had a family member who worked there. He thought about the police, he thought about education, and he thought about those kinds of things. I said, have you looked at stuff like the British Museum or anything in the cultural sector? And he went, who thinks like that? Like, who goes to the person, have you thought about this old institution and that there's a place for you here? It's a great institution, because I know we have someone from the British Museum here. But who thinks like that? And I think that's a really powerful statement, because if I'm the only one thinking like that, then either there's something wrong with me, which I hope not, but I think it's important that more people do. And if someone has been not told about all these different sectors, and you're only telling them when they're 21, oh, if you had a time machine and went back 5 years, you could find a pathway that you'd like, that's not going to cut it. You need to engage with people and say literally, hi, we exist, to them before they become at the age where they make those decisions.
But Deputy Mayor, I mean, this is a tricky one, because our jobs are also changing a lot because of AI and some of the skills that are required. I mean, one of the interviews, or one of the questions we ask in all our interviews is, if you had to go back in time, what would you study? Is it people skills? Is it actually, coding and things like that? So is it because the jobs are changing that it's difficult to, give a young person a clear idea of what's needed of them? Or is it a communication problem?
I think it's a little bit of both there, because if you ask a business, if you talk about sort of 16-year-olds, like I said, if you ask a business, what are the jobs that you're going to be recruiting most for in 5 years' time? A lot of the sort of information-based businesses, so in the legal sector, in things like media, even on the computer and the tech side, would have maybe an idea, but they wouldn't have a clear view. Oh yes, no. In 5 years, we're going to need loads of people who do this, because things are changing, and that can be obviously very off-putting. A lot of our education system and a lot of the support systems that are there for things like work experience are sort of based on a sort of a very 20th century model of, you grow up, you get this qualification, that opens the door to the next one, and you, almost like a computer game, you finish the level, you get the prize, you go on to the next level, you get a prize, and then you get a good job, and then you stay in that job until you're 65 and you retire. The world's not like this anymore. There are lots more opportunities, actually, but it can be a bit scary, both for the young people looking at, what is the future going to be. If you think that you might have 3 or 4 different jobs, you may actually change career in that process, and that transferable skills are going to be the important bit. But it's also it's out of the comfort zone of the teachers and the parents and the people that are advising as well, because that's not their experience. So we do need to get a lot more clever about how we talk about sets of skills that people will need, rather than necessarily funneling people into a particular career. One of the things that we're working on with the Mayor's Fund, which I can't really talk about yet because we haven't announced it, but we are
we're amongst
about
friends.
Something that will very much target exactly this. So giving young people opportunity to try a few different things from 16, in fact from 12, up to finishing school, so that by the time they finish school, they have tried some different stuff. Right. And it breaks my heart, it really does, when I hear people who said, well, the whole work experience I had, but until I finished school at 16 or even at 18 was a week or 2 weeks. And a lot of kids in London do work experience in the school. That can't be right. Where they just moved sort of to the admin office for 2 weeks and then come out again. That can't be right. And there's not enough good quality work experience. And I also think, I was the chair of the East End Community Foundation. One of the things we spent a lot of time looking at is how we make sure kids from the East End, have a chance of getting the good jobs that are in the city and Canary Wharf and so on. And one of the things I used to say to the young people say, well, I did my work experience last year, so I can't do anymore. It's like, yeah, you can. You can do it in the holidays. Like, oh, I didn't know you're allowed to even ask for that. It's like, oh my God, because the posh kids, to be honest, are doing that. They go and they do a month during the holiday because somebody sorts it out for them. But it's what you don't know, and it's that opening doors for people is so crucial.
But the what you don't know, what's the easiest way? Would it be like a platform where people can log on and see, or is it a service? How do you see? Because I feel like you've thought about this and trying to help your friends.
I have, and it's one thing to go and be like, yes, I would like to create this amazing website or do this thing via social media. But the one thing that I have seen in young people is, as much as we are now connected to all the world's information on our fingertips, we also are a lot more insular than we used to be. We will hear the same things from the same people, and it's very hard to get new ideas into that. And that's the one reason why I've advocated so much for, we need to do things in schools, because 2 things. One, you have a captive audience. They have to listen to you. You have no idea how many groans I've gotten from my year group when I stood up there in the morning and gone, hi, I have this thing to talk to you about. But you have them captive, and also, if you're not someone who's their teacher, they're far more likely to listen to you. This is not an insult to any teachers who I know will probably watch this afterwards, sorry. But if you're not a teacher and if you're engaging, then you'll have, in some schools, 300 to 400 people all listening to you giving a convincing message. If I spoke about one thing in one assembly, which was promoting a co-production thing with a charity called the Young Ealing Foundation, stood there, spoke to them, said, this is what it is, very much 2-minute boilerplate, just this, this, and this, and then said, if you are interested, stick around afterwards, I'll give me your email and I'll send it to you. They were expecting about 10 from 240. They got 80 out of 240 for a program with 20 spaces. And it's just that thing of you need to go there and both your message has to be interesting, but also you have to actually want to talk to them. Because if you give young people the opportunity to listen to someone engaging and give them that information, then you're going to get somewhere if you're able to reach enough of them. Because the ones who will follow a social media channel about work experience or something, they're the ones who are most likely already getting it. The ones who aren't, the ones who are in the communities that I come from and the people that I work with and the people that I see every single day, they're the ones you need to go and find because there are lots of diamonds sitting there, but no one's gone and searched for them yet.
We're almost out of time, but Deputy Mayor, I mean, there's also other barriers like, cost of living crisis, housing. But what will you take away from the summit back to the mayor?
Gosh, well, the first thing is we are, obviously, we pride ourselves on being in touch. We pride ourselves in listening. But the most important thing is to keep going back and checking because, for example, post-COVID, the way people move around the city, the people's mental health issues, which have, we've had a lot of mental health issues since COVID, and this is a very long burn thing. It's had a big impact on the current generation of young people. And coming back and listening to young people about what it's actually like really being young, being 16, 17 out there. I mean, you're obviously, you're an extraordinary young person, but you are among people and listening to them. And that's the most important thing for us, because then, for us, there's no point in us spending money on a program that's not going to be effective. This is an investment in the future of our city. This generation that are now at school is the generation that is going to have the next big challenge on climate change, the next big challenge on global politics, next big challenge on technology, and the opportunities as well to make our city the fair and green and prosperous place we want it to be. But only by investing in them can we make that happen. So we need to listen to them and also to help them to get into the place that they need to be.
Well, thank you both for a fantastic conversation. Thank you. Thank you.